Hey, welcome everybody. It's Chris Petri. Once again, we're here. We're doing a beautiful painting. It's a composition, more or less. We'll talk about it as we get started here on this video, but I just wanted you to see the finished painting as we start. You can always pause here and work right from the painting as it is right now, or you can take a snapshot with your phone or your electronic device, your home computer. You can do screenshots and screen captures. You can look that up on YouTube, how to do a screen capture, how to do a screenshot. You will you'll benefit from that if you can just figure out a few things like that. It'll really help you if you feel like you have to want to work from this actual painting. But it's a great thing if you can work from an actual finished watercolor painting as we have here. I'll zoom back out a little bit. We'll just kind of cover one more thing. In this painting, we'll cover all the washes you need. We'll cover the palette, how you're going to mix all the washes and the colors. I'm going to mix it all here. We're going to talk about the 3 brushes that you're going to use here. They're just really simple, basic brushes that I use all the time. So you're going to have what brushes you use, what colors we're going to mix in this palette, and then all the methods and techniques that you're going to need to kind of get this accomplished. And I think you'll really have a fun time. It's really straightforward. We're going to use the glazing technique, which I cover in depth here. So let's get started, and we'll do the first pencil drawing, and then we'll get right into the painting. Okay, we'll be right back. All right, welcome everyone. Chris Petri again here. We're doing another fun video. We're going to actually do a kind of like a composition style video. I do these a lot, as you know. And, if you like these type of videos, please let me know in the comments section. Leave me a message, say hi. Say, Chris, yeah, I really like these composition videos because sometimes I feel like I don't do them enough. Sometimes I think I get into more of maybe like a more picturesque finished painting style tutorials a lot, and I don't maybe do enough like practice composition style videos enough. So you let me know in the comment section. Maybe you say, maybe like if you put in the number 3. So if you just type the number 3 and put that in the comment section, I know a lot of you don't want to sit there and type out messages and things, but if you type the number 3, just that one, just put into the comment section down below, type in number 3 and hit enter. That'll let me know that many of you want to see more composition style paintings like this one that we're going to do. So that'll kind of give me an indication of, how many of you really like these composition style videos. That's just a little quick thing we can do to kind of find out what some of you are really interested in, or maybe many of you are more interested in doing, smaller composition style where we're doing like a particular subject matter, maybe like a trees, like we're going to do a tree here today. A really cool looking tree. Maybe we'll do some distant mountains too, of course, but you saw the finished painting just in the first, the first minute of the video. But so you saw the finished painting, but again, number 3 would be, you want to see more paintings like this, maybe more compositional style. If I had if I was trying to do a picturesque maybe type video like this, maybe I would be putting in like a cabin in this painting, or like a building or something, and also maybe some figures and maybe a little more intricate things like that. But for this one, it's kind of a simple style, but yet it's effective because you can kind of learn like a few different things in this one at least. Or I would say we could learn like 3 or 4 different really cool things in this video. One would be, we're going to paint a really cool tree, a really beautiful tree that you can render in any painting. That'll look great. 2, you'll learn that technique of doing some beautiful distant mountains, some purple mountains in the background that give your painting a real beautiful 3-dimensional quality. That's the second thing we would say we could learn from this video. Third thing might be learning kind of the glazing technique a little bit, of just covering that paper with our light wash first, which is what we're going to do right now. And then like maybe the next thing we might learn is maybe doing some bushes and low-lying trees and grasses and things like that. So we can learn quite a bit of things in this one video. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. If I was to paint a real intricate finished painting with maybe more, again, a lot more subject matter, we might get lost in all those details, and we kind of maybe won't learn as much as we can if we kind of just focus in on 3 or 4 things like we're going to do here. So let's get right into it here and keep going. So the first thing I'll do, I'll just establish that we're going to do a rectangle here, and I'll just maybe put a little pencil line around my paper just to let myself know, okay, I got to work within this rectangle here that I have, and that's a definite border that I have to work within, and I want to be real conscious of that rectangle. So now I have this rectangle. I'm going to do this just improvise. I'm not really working from a picture or a photograph or anything like that. I'm just going to do this, improvise this painting, and I hope you'll enjoy it as we go. So the first thing I usually do is I'll try to say, well, Okay, we're going to do a landscape with a tree. And again, you just saw the finished painting, so you know you're kind of already ahead of things. But you're going to start your painting and say, well, where am I going to put my horizon line? Like the the horizon where the land meets the sky. And in this painting, I would say we're going to do about 1/3 up from the bottom. So let's do that. Let's go about 1/3 of the way up. So if we would say these are thirds here, we could say 1/3 there, 1/3 here, 1/3 and 1/3. So 1/3, another third, and another third. That makes 3/3. So in the first third, we're going to have that horizon line, and we're just going to make a light sketch of it. Just make a light sketch across your paper, somewhat level. You don't want to be like on an angle like this. That would be a problem. So you want to keep your first horizon line pretty level, but you can make it a little bit, with some hills and things like that. Or you can make it straight. That's fine too. Second thing we want to do is let's kind of establish, let's put our tree in the painting, and let's put it about the golden mean, which is basically about 3/4 of the way over. If we put it right in the center, it might not look as exciting. I like to tend to take things and go a little bit off center. So that's what we'll make our tree right over here, our large tree. That's going to be like our prominent feature in this. So the first thing I'll do now is I'll start off with the prominent feature, the tree in this painting. Composition, and let's do that. I'm going to say, all right, let's kind of get an idea. It's going to be like on an angle a little bit. And I'm going to come up like this and maybe turn it this way a little bit. So what I want to do is I want to just about make it touch the top of the our rectangle here. So I'll bring up that one line about up to there. Then I'm going to say, all right, now let me make a wide trunk here, like this. And then I want to take that trunk of the tree and kind of make it thinner as we go. And then maybe I'll branch off too here and make another secondary kind of thick branch there. So you can kind of see I'm just working my ideas out here. So we have a good thick trunk here coming up, and then another secondary trunk kind of splitting off in a Y over this way, like this. So now we have, I would say that's a nice, good, solid trunk with one branch going off that main trunk of the tree, and I think that's fine. Then you can make it a little wider if you want. You can kind of take your pencil and just maybe make it a little wider if you want to, a little thicker at the bottom. And I think that should be fine. And then from there, we're going to take some indications of other branches coming off that tree, like so. And let's make them sort of going up kind of straight, not straight up, but like on a little bit of an angle. So they're not quite straight, they're on a little bit of an angle, 40-degree angle maybe, like that. And then we just do this, just to get ourselves some, maybe another secondary branch, a couple, you take the pencil and you kind of just squiggle in some lines like that. Nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy, just enough like this here. And you kind of just shake your hand a little bit and make the branches as you're moving your pencil out. You shake your hand a little bit and move your hand like this, and as you're going out, you'll get that nice branch look as you just go. So you just kind of, move your pencil side to side a little bit to make that branch, the branches, I should say, a little bit squiggly to make it look realistic. And then that's pretty good. And then I would say we have the main feature now, the trunk, main trunks and some of the branches of this tree. And we'll put some leaves on there too. Now what we'll do is we'll actually make another tree over here. And this will be a smaller tree over here. And we'll make I'll draw in some of the bushes over here just a little bit too, just because I want to sort of get an idea of like that. So I'm going to have some branches and some foliage over there. That looks pretty good. And then maybe over here, let's kind of make a little bit of a counterpoint to this point here over here, and let's make another tree over here. And we'll kind of do the same thing. Let's sway it over to the right a little bit, but we'll make this again a smaller tree like this maybe. And again, just we squiggle these lines out. Just kind of shake your pencil back and forth as you're going outwards. So you kind of just have that little bit of a, the branches on trees, they look very irregular. They're not really straight. They have a lot of turns and twists and bends in them. So I think that's good. So we have three, sort of like three, one really large prominent tree here, and then another two smaller trees here. And we'll have some leaves, very light leaves on here. Maybe this is autumn, fall time, where some of the leaves have fallen off, and we're going to kind of just capture some of that really light feeling of autumny type foliage on these trees. And I think that looks pretty good. Now the next thing we're going to do is, we've worked quite a bit on these trees right now, so I would say at this point we've worked on 3 of these trees. I'm just going to take a quick break. You won't even notice it, but I'm just going to take a 5-minute break and then come back, and I'll start working on some of the brush and some bushes along this horizon line here, and get a few more. Maybe we'll get the distant mountain in here, and then I think we'll be ready to paint. So I will take just a quick 5-minute break. I always suggest taking breaks if you can. If you feel like you need a break and you're kind of been concentrating a lot on your drawing, drawings usually tend to take a lot of concentration. Painting does take concentration too, but I wouldn't say quite as much as drawing does. I think drawing and laying out your painting takes more of your concentration. And so that's a perfect time. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back, and we'll get started again. We'll be close to painting in just a few minutes. All right, let's get started again here. I think we're going to do some bushes, low-lying bushes and things along here. So let's get some interesting bushes here. Maybe I'm going to put a little small opening there in the bushes. There's maybe a little road leading into the distance there. Okay, so and then maybe we're going to have a little bit of a opening here where this leads into the picture. And some more bushes over here and grasses and things. Grass and bushes over here. And I put some indications of some pencil lines just to remember to put a little bit of that up strokes with my brush work, with my paintbrush. All right, and then we have some mountains in the distance here. Let's get those in. There we go, some distant mountains. And then our clouds we can kind of leave loosely. I'm not going to even pencil line in my clouds at all. But this is basically the general idea of the format of the painting. We could add in some fence posts here. And they get smaller as they go this way. And we'll make another one here. One here, there. Some fence posts can look kind of cool in a painting. We'll see how that looks. And maybe some barbed wire. Maybe this is a farm along here. Again, I kind of wanted to keep this a real simple composition, but adding in a couple fence posts with some barbed wire, and it kind of starts to feel like a farm type scenery, which is kind of great. Okay, so now I think we're ready to paint. Let's get our paintbrushes. I think I'll just use really three I would say 2 or 3 paintbrushes. I would say I'm going to use my Charles Reed number 10 travel brush, which is a Kolinsky Sable round brush. Then I'm going to use this Da Vinci round brush, travel brush, which came with my my Prang Oval 16 set. It's a synthetic brush, inexpensive, great brush, great point. So that comes with the Prang Ovals. Oh, that came with, I think, another set I bought. I can't remember if this was... This actually came with the Schminke set, actually. This is the new Schminke set here. I think I was going to say, many of you probably have bought this Schminke set, many of you. You noticed that I did take out all the pans out of this, and I put in my own custom lineup of paints in this palette. Well, this is the new one I just purchased, because I had to get a new one. Mine was sort of getting worn out already. So this is the new one, and I'm just figuring, let me use these paints, why not? All right, so I have, this brush from the Schminke palette. I'm going to use this. And then again, my Charles Reed travel brush, and I'll use my Alvaro Castanet needlepoint brush, which I always use for like really trees and brush and really fine details. It's got a great, incredible point on there, holds lots of water, so you can really do a lot of really fine calligraphy, and again, very fine, really fine lines, and you can do a lot of them because the brush actually has a great bit of hairs here in this part of the brush that hold lots of paint, so that as you're painting, the paint drips down into the point of your brush, and you can actually paint a lot of detail with just one fill up. You just take your brush, get lots of paint in there, and then once you go to your painting, you can actually paint a long time, and you don't have to worry about going back and forth all the time. So this is a great brush that's designed beautifully for doing a lot of work in one go as you're working. Saves time. And so these 3 brushes, I think I'm going to kind of work with these here. I put them over here on the side, but I should put them here. And then I'll tape down my palette here. I forgot to do that when we started. So I'll just take some tape and just tape down my palette so that it's not moving all around as we're painting. Two pieces of tape should suffice. Like that. One on the top, one on the bottom. Perfect. All right, let's get started painting. And again, we said we were going to do the glazing technique. So with the glazing technique, basically on this style painting, we're just going to use fresh, clean water. So I have fresh, clean water in my collapsible water container, like this. Holbein collapsible water container. This is just a one I have to the side over here, but mine's already filled with water on the right-hand side over here. And fresh, clean water. And what I'll do is I'll just splash and put on a little bit of water in the sky area. Fresh, clean water in the sky area up here. And it doesn't have to be everywhere. You can just leave it kind of spotty. Gives a nice effect of some drier areas and some really wet areas. And then we'll take that and we'll come down here in the foreground too and do the same thing. Put some dampen your paper here and there a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect again. Just to have some really damp, wet paper here and there, especially in the sky, though. You do want quite a bit of water up there in the sky. And then you go up one more time and add a little bit of water one more time in the sky, just to get that nice and damp with some extra water on there. And now we can just come over here and just say, all right, let's make some sky washes. Let's make this a kind of warm and cool sky. So maybe we'll get some red. So we're going to have some red here. And maybe some orange. So maybe we can make a little bit of orange with some yellow, some gold, like that. So I'll take a little bit of yellow ochre, that yellow ochre color there, and there I have a nice kind of orangey red warm color there. And maybe a little bit of this color too here, which is like a brick red, a light red. Maybe that'll look good. I'm not sure about that. If you ever have a doubt about your colors in your painting, you can always just lift up a little bit and start again quick. That's probably the best bet. And if you mix something you don't like, you just go back to start again and say, okay, let me do that again. Red, and maybe a little bit. Let's try this yellow here. A little bit of red and yellow there. A little bit of an orangey color. I think that's good. That's fine. And then we'll do some blue, some staple French ultramarine looking blue there, like that. And then maybe, why not see if we have a little bit of that kind of cerulean type blue. Yeah, that looks good there too. That's kind of like a cerulean or like a Prussian blue look. But that should give us plenty of color to get our sky wash in. And it's really looking good here. We're not wasting too much time. And then what I'll do is I'll mix these in and just start warm and cool. So we'll get that warm red into the landscape area. A little bit here and there. Just like that. A little bit. Doesn't have to be a lot. But, you know, sort of move it around the entire painting. We wouldn't want to just have it in one spot. Take your warm, kind of that reddish, orangey color and get it around the canvas quite a bit. Perfect. Then we just go in, and this is very loose. You can kind of see I'm not really fussing too much at all. I'm just kind of getting in the warm and cool colors of the blue and then the orangey, kind of like a pinkish orange, and our blue for our sky washes. And then I just do that. I just kind of bring it on down. Here, same thing in the foreground. I want some of that blue sky there. Warm and cool everywhere, and I think that's fine. Let's not get too overly concerned about everything. Let's just kind of get some of that wash on there. So we got that first light wash on the whole paper. And that looks fine. We want it to be light. We don't want to go with a heavy dark color. Nice and light. That first glazing. This is the glazing technique, again, we're talking about, which is basically your first wash. Really light. You kind of saw I just went with really light colors. We went with a French ultramarine looking blue. Also a cerulean type blue there. So we mixed it up, a couple different blues. And we took some red here. And then we also went with some gold here, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of yellow and gold to give us like an orangey color. That might have went a little bit too gold, and you just add a little more red there, and you get your kind of orangey red looking color, and that's fine. So we used very, very little paint, mostly water, lots of big puddly washes of color here for the first glazing. Now when we do our second washes over the top of this, we're not going to have any of this puddles of water all over our palettes. We're going to be using more straight paint out of here, and we'll kind of describe to you that in just a moment. So let's let this dry 100%. You can do two things right now. You can let this dry for a couple hours, or until you feel it's really dry. You can touch the paper, or you can use a blow dryer and dry it off in like 5 minutes or so, and then it should be good to work on. You just want to make sure it's completely dry before you start going in with your additional washes over the top of this to do your tree and your mountains and your foreground. Because if you try going in when it's damp, when it's wet or damp, it's going to be a mess. It'll make a huge mess. So don't let that happen. Either blow dry it off for about 5 minutes until it's really, really dry, or you might have to wait 2-3 hours or wait till the next day to go back in and work. So you make that decision on your own as far as what you want to do. But I'm going to use my blow dryer here in the studio, and we'll get started just in a second or two once I just use the old blow dryer to dry this off, and we'll be ready to go. All right, so we're moving on here. We have our palette. We said our next washes are going to be not too much water in the mixes that we're going to mix up to paint. So this way we can just go in now quickly and lift up all the watery puddles that are in our palette. That's all. Just we get up that large amount of water that's in the palette. We don't want that disrupting our mixes. And then the next thing we're going to do is I think we really did a great job of getting this light wash, this first light wash. I think it looks really good. It's the perfect glazing for this first wash, and it gives a nice backdrop of light color, and it's that beautiful blue and kind of orange, pinkish orange glow that we need for the sky, and even some of that onto the foreground. So we're all set now. Now it's more, we're going to use some The first thing I think we're going to do is let's get our first mix going here. Let's do the trunk of the tree. So we're going to get some of that dark there. We'll get some red, some gold. I think that looks good. A little bit of green in there. So we're going to kind of get not too much water though. We can see here we're using very little water. And I'll try to get these mixes and I think this is like, yeah, good dark like that is good. This is like a sepia tone, like a brown, and this is a black. A little bit of blue in there too. Make some blue over here. So we can have a little bit of a mixture of a little bit of red there. So just a good dark mixture is fine. And then we'll just start going in here. And I'm just resting my hand on the paper. It's dry now, so I don't have to worry. And I'm just going to start. And this brush, incidentally, too, the Da Vinci number 5 travel brush, which is comes with the Schminke set. Great brush, really good point. It's synthetic too, which means it's going to last a long time. Doesn't hold too much water, so that's also good. That means it's more controllable with your washes. So what you'll notice, all I'm doing is just getting in my tree trunk, main tree trunk area. And I just kind of do those free-flowing squiggly lines like that. The perfect time is just now to get in these fine lines. Some of these branches are going to come back down like this toward the ground. I usually do these later as we're painting. And I think that looks pretty good so far. So then I can come over here now and we'll do this one, this tree over here. We'll start creating this tree trunk here. And if you need to add just a touch of water, I'll just dampen my brush with a little bit of water. And this way I can get a little more of the branches and things like that. Good. And let's come over here. We'll do this one. And I think I'll use my needlepoint brush too to get those finer lines. I think I meant to do that a little bit sooner, but I'm going to dampen my needlepoint brush now with water. Come in here, a little bit of blue mixed in with that. And then sometimes you might dry off your brush just a touch with a tissue or paper towel, but you can get some even finer points here of detail. And this brush is fun because you can kind of, it's got finer lines actually. You can get finer lines with this one, with the needlepoint brush. And then I might just do a few more fine lines here in the foreground. There might be some small trees over here too as well. Maybe one is straight this way, maybe one's over here like this. Like that. I think that looks pretty good. Now what we can do is, I think what's best now is to start working in our distant mountains. So we have this dark wash down here. This can be good to use with some of these other bushes in the foreground, but let's get our purple color mixed up. So let's do the rinse. Actually, good, perfect time to, I'm going to change out my water. So it's always good if you have your water pail, your water bucket. Once your water gets muddy and murky, you take it, you dump it out, and you start with some fresh water. So I have some really murky, muddy looking water. I dump it out in a bucket next to my table, and I put some fresh, clean water in, bottled water, whatever I have around. And then what we'll do is, this way we'll have nice, fresh, clean water, and we can make a nice transparent blue and red for a nice purple. So there we go. Let's make a beautiful purple like that, red and blue. And that's kind of like a French ultramarine blue and a pretty much like a alizarin crimson, rose madder type color. Maybe a little more blue. Maybe that's too much red in there. I think that looks pretty good. Then I'll make a little bit of a muddy purple over here, just to have a little bit of a change in color. All right, so there we go. More of a really kind of an exciting purple there, and then another bit of purple with a little bit of this brown and black and red and blue, just to gray that down a little bit. Maybe we'll gray down this side over here. The mountains over here, maybe we'll gray these down a little bit. Like that. And then as we come across here, then maybe we pick up more of that exciting purple there for a bit. Then maybe we'll come over here again with some more of that grayed down. And there we go. We have a nice purple, soft purple distant mountain there. Bring some beautiful depth and quality into this composition. Maybe a little bit of gold back here. And I put a little bit of that yellow ochre color mixed in with a little bit of that brown and black and blue and red, just for some change up of color. What that does is you get another layer of distance. So when I go in with this little bit of darker tonal value here, like that, then I'm actually building another like mountain, like another hill, like a tree line or some, or another hill over here in front of that purple mountain in the distance. So now we have like two mountain ranges, one and then the other purple behind that. So that gives you an additional layer of distance, steps back into the painting. So that's another little fun thing to do when you're going to create some distance in your painting, some three-dimensional quality. And then we're going to keep going. We're going to actually, we're going to add in some green now. I'm going to muddy up that green with a little bit of gold. Make it almost like an olive green. And I just want to get some of that in there too. And then we'll do the same thing over here. We'll take some of that green. And I'm just going to kind of throw that green right out into the distance here, right off the painting like that. Those lines are nice. When you do those lines like that, it kind of creates like a dynamic feeling of like energy going into the painting when you're taking your brush strokes and moving them fast like that. So always remember, whatever you're doing with your paintbrush and your ideas, it kind of shows up in the painting. If you're making some fast, exciting brush strokes in your painting, you'll see it. It'll feel like energy when you're looking at the painting. You'll say, oh, wow, that looks like energy there. Wow, it looks pretty cool. So we have that there. Then we can do a little more exciting. Let's put some yellow, gold color here a little bit. Now that does another kind of fun thing. That gives you a little more sunlight feel in the center of your painting, like that. And then as we go out to the far distance of our painting, on the outer edges over here, we don't want to maybe use so much of that golden yellow, like that really sunlit kind of gold color. Let's save that for the center here in the painting, like this here. Like that. And already you can see we're almost completed now. Look, we don't have to do a whole lot more. We're having everything working in our favor on this painting right now. I'm using some more of that golden, like yellow ochre color, like this. Like that. And over here on the edges of the painting, we could do a little bit more, just some more subdued colors, like that. We can leave in some white paper here and there, or you can just kind of cover that over. And we'll go over with some more bushes and things like that over here. And then a little bit of these darks in here, just kind of those soft darks. Lots of water in this wash here too. If you can get a lot of like kind of watery looking washes going on in your painting with watercolor, you're definitely kind of at an advantage, because other mediums like acrylic and oils, you can't really get those really beautiful like soft mixes of colors like this with any other medium. So take advantage of it. If you're a watercolor artist, you're really enjoying it, you're the artist, you're here, we're getting together week after week, month after month, and even year after year. Many of you have been with me many years. You're really enjoying the watercolor medium. You're having a really good you're getting a good mastery of the watercolor medium. And so now sometimes when we're working with our compositions here, we just talk about some ideas, some concepts, and one of them is, if you can use these really watery looking kind of hazy effects in your watercolor, that it really looks great. And like I said, you can't really get that with acrylic and oils. So watercolor is unique and special in that way, that you can actually do a lot with the washes and things like that. And the glazing technique is a perfect way to practice it. So we're going to continue to practice on this, and why not? Let's keep going here. We're going to actually get a little more paint. Let's get some gold. We're going to do some leaves now on the trees. It's kind of a fall time right now, so let's get some of the red maybe. So we're going to do the red and the gold and the brown. A little bit of black, a little bit of brown. Even a little bit of the green too, mixed in there too. We want some olive green in there. Olive green, some gold, some red. I think that looks good. Kind of a mixture of all those, and not totally mixed up. Let's kind of leave these a little bit where you can kind of see the different colors like that. And then we just take the brush we maybe take a little bit of, I would take a little bit of paint off the brush with a tissue or a paper towel, just so it's not flooded with too much water. And you can kind of see there's no puddles of water in this. This is very, there's not much water on my palette right now. You can kind of see that. And then you just we take our brush like this and just hold it like this and kind of just do like a circular pattern and see if we can get scrub some color on there. Perfect. And just do a circular, kind of just touch down. I meant to say this before too. I'm using Arches rough paper. It's the orange cover. So if you, and it's it's Arches block paper, and it's the orange cover, which is Arches rough paper. And it actually helps you to paint your painting like you can't imagine. I don't think there's any better paper for landscape painting than the Arches rough paper. And so you'll see here that I'm kind of just doing a little bit of scrubbing around. Maybe some areas you make it a little heavier, like that, and then leave lots of nice and light. Not too many leaves, just a little bit. You can kind of see how I'm doing that. Just scrubbing around. I take my brush. You can go circular patterns like this, circular like this. You can do straight line. You can do straight like this. However you feel, but the main thing is not too much water on the brush and paint on the brush. And if you have too much, you can always again tap a little bit off on a tissue or a paper towel, and then you just do that again. That circular kind of touching down on the paper, and you'll notice that again, this Arches rough paper, it really does all the work for you. You really don't have to really work too hard on getting some good leaves and foliage on your trees like this. Look how easy that works. And I think that's almost it. All right, so one more here. Let's do a couple little quick things over here. Like that. Might as well do a few more here where we put those branches in before. I think that's fine. Like that. All right, that looks good. And it's a lot of fun because, like I said, the paper's doing all the work, really. You can kind of see I'm just scrubbing around and I'm getting really beautiful leaf forms and things like that. And that's all we have to do. We're pretty much, that's good. Last thing we'll do is we'll do maybe just a little bit of more bushes and shrubs along the bottom here where the tree trunks are. And then we'll do, again, some fence posts. I think these fence posts will look really good in the painting. It'll kind of give us some it'll give us some interesting things to look at that'll kind of lead our eye into the painting. So if we have some fence posts going in with some barbed wire, it's going to kind of give us some fun little things to look at, little bits of interest to look into the painting and get ourselves kind of in the center here. And then we'll do some more interesting bushes and things like that over here. All right, let's take a quick break. And again, if you don't want to take a break, you keep working. You won't hardly even notice I'm taking a break. I'm just going to stop for a few minutes and relax, and then I'll get started again. And moving right along, we're going to get some more brown and black here. Give ourselves some nice looking darks, some green, some blue, some red. Nice conglomeration of colors. Like that. Okay, and then again I was going to do some more bushes over here and things like that. Just some indications, and darks are always good to kind of put into the painting to kind of give us that spots of color. There we go. And I'm using my Da Vinci No. 5 travel brush that came with the Schmincke palette. And some bushes and shrubs over here. And then I think we'll just go right in and we'll do some, maybe we'll do a little thicker fence post there, like that. Then another one here straight down. That one's a little bit thinner, and we'll make them thinner as they go. And then they start to thin down here, like that. And then some barbed wire, like that. And again, this really adds some really interesting effects to your painting. And I'll get another thicker line here, like that. Another one there. Then I make a little angle on this one. You know, they shouldn't all be straight like this. Can you imagine that as you're working? Well, you try to take a couple of the fence posts and turn them a little tiny bit. Like, you wouldn't want to go drastic maybe. Well, you could make one really drastically bent or whatever, but I mean, you know, you try to change them a little bit so that they don't all look perfectly straight. Like, I wouldn't take a ruler and make all lines like that with the ruler going across with my fence posts. I want to leave them, some of them straight, you know, some of them on a little bit of an angle, like that. Like that. And then again for the barbed wire, you know, you just go like that, nice, loose, free kind of thing like this, just like that. No big deal. And you can even go with a third line of barbed wire like that. So you have like 3 like that. And then what we can do, and these even, you know, they can be fence posts even. You can make them thicker and make like a really heavy, like kind of timber fence, so that you're the artist. You can create some different ideas here. You can do some thicker lines, like thicker posts and thicker cross members between the posts, and make it like a thick, heavy timber fence, which was a really good, beautiful, like kind of farm-like atmosphere that you can create with your fencing. But I thought this fencing looks good. It's kind of light, nice and light, and we'll add a little bit of detail to it too. We'll add some more detail to the fence in just a minute. So what I wanted to do now was, I thought it would look good too if we can get some more of that, some of that lemony yellow here and there, right in the center of the picture. And then, you know, you can bring it out over here too a little bit. Kind of like that grass, the lemon, and maybe even that green. So this like lemon yellow, which is like a really light yellow, like that. Yeah, I think that looks good like that. That looks good. If we can kind of get that into the painting, more toward the center of the painting, and then kind of mellow it out over here. But we have to be careful when we're doing this that we're not having too much water on our brush. But this does look good. It kind of gives like a feeling of like sunny, sunlit ground here, and like kind of that interesting bright green color, like that. And then as we get out here, it's more grayish and toned down as we get out to the outsides of the painting over here. We could still put some over there, but I think that looks good. just like that. And I'll do some splashing, just a little bit here and there in the foreground. A bit of texture in there. And I hope you've enjoyed this painting so far. We're pretty much, this is good. This is really what we wanted to kind of capture, the beautiful, just the composition really. We wanted to get in that, creating a beautiful tree with light foliage on there, a distant purple mountain. We wanted to get some shrubs and grasses and bushes and things along that horizon line here. That was one of our goals that we wanted to do as well. And I think we've kind of got our, and also too, we wanted to get some of this foreground in too, and the fence as well. So we kind of learned some really good fun things here. And at the same time, it's a good looking painting. I think it really, and I just usually, maybe I sometimes put a little bit of light. This could be some sunlight. You can just take some of the paint and scrub it off or lift it up, and that could be like some sunlight shining on the scene. And maybe we soften up a couple things. You know, you can sometimes just take a few things and gently put some paper towel or some tissue and soften some things up so that it's not 100% solid lines everywhere. And we have some mystery in our painting. So create mystery in your painting, have fun, use the glazing technique. You'll know that that's one of my staples that I use all the time is the glazing technique or the alla prima technique. Both techniques are great. Here we use the alla prima technique, and you'll hear me always talk about that. Also in my book, you know, many of you have picked up my new book. If you haven't picked up my new book, it's a great deal. It's very inexpensive. It'll be a link. It'll be in the description below. You'll see where I have my Amazon link there. You click on that, you can check out my book. And I'll also show my book in numerous videos already. I've shown a lot of the pages of my book. So there's just tons of paintings, everything you can imagine. Landscapes just like this, seascapes, boat paintings, flowers, figures, everything watercolor. And you'll really enjoy it. It's a great book again. Tons, and it covers my two main techniques, which I always use, which is the glazing technique, which we just did here, as well as the alla prima technique, which is really fun. It's kind of straightforward, perfect for any painter if you're just starting out, or if you're kind of, you know, seasoned pro, grizzled pro, you've been around a long time painting watercolor, and maybe you've just been using the glazing technique. Well, then you can learn about the alla prima technique. I go over that a lot in my new book. Or if you do the alla prima technique all the time, but you want to learn about the glazing technique, I cover that in my book too. So you can get a lot of great information. So I'm always excited about telling you about my new book. And in any case, great to be with you here. Thanks so much for joining along with me. We have a great time together always each week as we go. And I'm wishing you happy paintings. Enjoy the journey. The watercolor journey is a fun journey. It's just a little one step at a time. You know, each week, each time you pick up your brushes, your pencils, you draw, you paint, you're getting better every time. It may not always seem as if we're making progress, like huge leaps and bounds of progress, but honestly, we always are making progress. Anytime we're picking up our tools, our paper, our pencils, our brushes, our paints, we're making progress. It's putting in that time. So let's keep getting together and working together, and we'll see you soon on the next video. Bye-bye.